In this video, we're going to talk about an iterator for the linked list class. To create a iterator for a linked list class, we would have to create a new class, and we'll call that class the node iterator, right? Because this is going to be an iterator that is able to iterate through a series of nodes. All right, so there's a few things that we must do in order to make a node iterator that will work with the standard template library. The first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that this iterator is a child of the standard library's iterator class. So we must inherit std iterator. All right, and so in this example, I'm going to show how to do a forward iterator, right? So if we're going to do a forward iterator, to create a forward iterator, we must complete a few operators. And I'm going to list those below in just a second. All right, so the first operator that we will need to implement is the dereference operator. Then we would have to create the plus plus, and that's going to be both postfix as well as prefix. All right, and that goes for the minus minus as well. So we do both postfix and prefix. All right, and so as long as we have these three operators overloaded, then we can consider our class a forward iterator. All right, so let's talk about inheriting the iterator class. So if we create our class node iterator, in order to inherit, of course, we use the colon, and then we say public, and then that's going to be std iterator. And then our iterator class requires that we have two template variable types. The first one is going to be a std forward iterator tag. And then the second one would just be our whatever our template is, right? So consider this both here, so make that look a little bit clearer. This is going to be what our inheritance syntax will look like. All right, so now that we have our inheritance set up, the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to have a private variable member that is able to point to our node, right? So then I need to make this a node T pointer, and I'm just going to name this current. And of course, don't forget, since this is a template class, we do need to put in our class T. All right, so that's pretty much all we need in our private access. For public, we will just need to put in our operators, right? So the first one is going to be our dereference operator. All right, and so our dereference operator actually doesn't have any parameters for the operator, and it will return a reference to wherever our template is. All right, and so we just say operator, and then dereference, it requires no arguments. All right, and then the next thing that we have is going to be, we need to do both our prefix and our postfix. So that's going to be 2 declarations. And the way we declare a postfix is a little bit weird. Of course, we're going to return a node iterator. And then we're going to say operator plus plus. And since it's a postfix, we actually put in int. Of course, this int is not doing anything. It is not, we're not passing any values to it. This is just so the compiler knows that this is the postfix operator. It's just a way to distinguish the 2 different operators because we use them differently. All right, and so when we want to do a prefix, we just say node iterator operator plus plus, and then we pass no variables, right? This is just so that we're allowed to do this overload, right? Because as we know, when we overload a function, the only way we can do it is if the signatures are different, right? So this will make our parameter list different, and it will be legal to do that. All right, so let's do the same for our minus minus. So this is going to be our postfix, and I'll just put a little comment here, postfix, prefix, the same goes here, postfix, and then this will be our prefix. All right, so as long as we implement all of these functions and these operators, then we actually have our node. We actually have our node iterator. So let me just go ahead and just give an example of how we would implement these different functions. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to go through a few of them, and I'll leave it up to you to figure out how to do the other ones. So let's start with our, the easy one. Let's start with the dereference. All right, so our dereference, it has a T, and it is going to return a reference of our template data, our template type, excuse me. So this is called operator, and this is the dereference. Whoops, I forgot one thing. We have to put our node iterator T class scope resolution first, and then we say operator. And now to define that, this one is actually pretty simple. All we want to do is we're just going to return current, and then current's data. And in my node, it's called get data. All right, so this is my get data, and I apologize. This should be a constant. So let's fix that in here. This should be a constant. All right. So then that will be our dereference operator. Pretty straightforward, right? The reason why we make it a reference is because we want to actually return the actual variable data so that we can make changes or so we can get the value. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and look at the postfix. I'm gonna do the postfix operator because that one is the one that's a little bit more difficult. So in this one we say it returns a node iterator, and then we're gonna go ahead and say operator plus plus int. All right, and then we have node T, right? So we're going to create a new node. We're going to create a temporary node, right? And we're going to set that equal to what our current node is, right? So this node is going to point to where the current node is, right? Because remember, when we do a postfix, we actually return the data that is currently posted at, then we increment the node's value, right? So then we will move the node to the next node, wherever it's pointing at. So here I'll say current is equal to current get next. And then I'm going to return my node. So I'm going to say star this, and this returns node. All right. So that is how we do those. And so I'll let you go ahead and figure out how to do the other ones. My nephew is calling me crazy right now, so let me make sure there's no emergency. I hope this video is well. The secret word is computer. All right. Thank you very much.